As you may know, many of the people that are at my weekly coffee date are in real estate in some form or another. Either they're realtors or they're mortgage brokers, mortgage specialists. That's kind of the theme of who comes to my weekly meetings. There are others, but that's generally who's there. So this week we decided to talk about the real estate market, specifically the real estate market here in Saskatoon, because we're seeing some interesting times, and it's always nice to collaborate with your peers to come up with ideas on how to best serve our clients. So I'm not sure if you're aware, but we have extremely low inventories for houses here in Saskatoon, so much so that it's actually the lowest amount since 2006. I've been a real estate agent since 2013, so obviously I have never seen them this low. So it's new to me. And of course, with that newness comes new challenges. So we talked about some of those challenges and how to best support our clients. So as you can imagine, when you have very little inventory, it's very challenging to find properties to show our buyers. And that's kind of where many of us are at, in the sense that we have buyers that are ready to purchase, but they can't because they can't find anything. Or if they find something, we can't get to it fast enough because it's already sold by the time that they get there. We also have here in Saskatchewan something that's called presentation of offers. So you are able to set the listing up and have an agreement with your seller that all offers will be presented to them at a specific time. So let's just, as an example, say the listing goes live on Wednesday. Presentation of offers will be Saturday evening at 7:00. So you'll go through and you'll have all the agents show the listing between the time that you list and shortly before the time that present. And then they bring their offer some time within that time. And you present them all to the seller all at the same time. This approach can be valuable to sellers, but it can also be detrimental. And that was some of the stuff that we talked about. So you may automatically think that, well, if you have to present all the offers, then you're definitely going to get, the highest price, and you're definitely going to get all of the least amount of conditions, et cetera, et cetera. Well, that's not necessarily true, simply because there's many buyers that aren't willing to offer on a listing that has a presentation of offers. It makes them uncomfortable, makes them not want to compete because of the uncertainty of, will I be able to win the bid? And it makes them uneasy because they often feel that they need to go over asking on their offer, which the reason they feel that way is because sometimes when you do a presentation of offers, the offers that come in are over asking price. But again, it's not always the best way, simply because some buyers just remove themselves from the market and remove themselves from that situation and won't offer at all. So you're not actually appealing to everybody. And then there's, from the seller's perspective, you may not get offers above asking, or you may get offers that come in but fall apart because you have clients offering above asking and they aren't actually approved above asking. And in the excitement of it all, of trying to get their deal in, and yes, we're going to go over, they lose sight of those things. So we definitely see deals fall apart when it comes to that. Lots of talk around all that. Anyway, the interesting part of this whole thing is then yesterday, when I came home from my meeting, from my coffee date, later that night, I get an email from our broker saying, as of Sunday, presentation of offers will no longer be accepted, that our regulating body has decided that form is no longer acceptable, and the board and the brokerages are kind of scrambling, trying to figure out what to do here, because this is definitely a process that's being used in our market right now. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of this. I'm making a huge guess, and this is just my opinion, But I suspect that there's been some complaints to our regulating board, or sorry, regulating body about this from buyers because they're so frustrated with not being able to get a house because they can't compete. So then there's the flip side to all of this. For those listings that don't have presentation of offers, go on the market and is kind of a first come first serve situation. And you have to realize in Saskatoon, our market, we have such little inventory that good houses that are priced well, good showing condition, sell very, very, very quickly because they're few and far between. And we have more buyers than we have inventory on the market. So the challenge is then when your listing goes live, they need to be, and we as agents need to be available to be able to go show it ASAP because they need to be able to get in there. But for some buyers, they prefer it that way because at least then they have a chance to write an offer without having to compete too badly with too many other buyers. Sure, there's still the potential to compete because you might have another showing right after you or whatever that might be. But it just is a little different than the presentation of offers. So those are kind of two areas that we're seeing struggles currently within the market. We talked a little bit about how to find houses that, like how to find more inventory ultimately. One of the ways that we do that is we'll go look at expired and canceled listings. So we'll go back, in time in our system and look at listings that had once been listed but had expired or canceled, so never sold. And then we reach out to the agent that had that listing at that time to find out if they're bringing it back on the market. I actually had this happen about a month ago. And an agent called me because I had a listing that didn't sell, would have been back in, I want to say 2019 in there, maybe 2020. I can't remember exactly. Anyway, it didn't sell at that time, and the client that I know very well, they rented it. So they wanted to, this agent wanted to know if it was going to be coming available. So I reached out to my seller and the answer was no, not at this time because they're tied into a contract, a rental agreement, and that it wouldn't be. But that agent did exactly, what I have been doing as well and other agents have been doing, is trying to find inventory. And then of course, finding inventory is talking to our prospective sellers that we have in our database of people, their family or friends, past clients, etc., seeing if anybody's ready to list. Then the next piece that comes up is with that actually is selling in this market, albeit might be in your advantage. You might do fairly well in your listing, but then you have the challenge of finding something to buy. So if you have to purchase something and sell something at the same time, it can be pretty uncomfortable simply because you don't know if you're going to find something that matches what you want because we have such low inventory. And if you do find it, you're not sure if you're going to win that bid or win the purchase. So we certainly are seeing clients sitting on selling because they are worried about buying. And there's no easy answer on how to fix that problem. Obviously, working with a good agent will help take away some of the concerns because they've got your back and they'll be ensuring that they're doing everything they can to make deals fall into place. But unfortunately, we can't pull houses from thin air to fit those needs. But we certainly do our best to ensure that we're making the process as smooth as possible. If you're thinking about selling and purchasing a new build, you're certainly in an okay place there because new builds you can potentially negotiate the purchase with this condition of sale of your house. So that's certainly way more comfortable. But if you're looking to, say, get out of the condo you bought when you went to university so that you can buy a house that, your first family home, that isn't a new build, that might be a little bit trickier, but certainly not impossible, just trickier. So I would suggest anybody who's listening to this that isn't a real estate agent and you're thinking about it and maybe you're in this boat, talk to your agent and see if they can help you through this, because that's really what we do. That's our job, is to help ensure our clients are well looked after and guided through the whole process, so that you have that peace of mind and you don't have to fret. Leave the fretting up to us. A couple of things I would like to point out to any potential buyers or sellers that are listening. If you are in the market to purchase a property, I can't insist more or to speak more highly of the importance of talking to your mortgage company and getting a mortgage pre-approval in place. With the capacity of the market, with the complexities and the competition that is out there, it's crucial that you have a mortgage pre-approval in place so that you have that piece ready to go. Because if you offer on a property, that's going to be one of the very first questions that the seller agent is going to ask, is if you have a pre-approval. And they may even ask for the pre-approval letter from your mortgage company, because they don't want to waste their seller's time on someone who does not have a pre-approval in place. And now I'll speak to you as sellers. So anybody who's thinking about selling, that's one key piece, is if you're accepting offers, say you're in that multiple offer situation, having that pre-approval in place is going to be a big part of your decision, because somebody who's pre-approved is going to rank higher than somebody that isn't. Same goes for potentially those who have a larger down payment. So they, if they can get to that 20%, that just shows that they have, a little bit more value to you as a seller, simply because they've been able to save more money. And it just shows that they might have their financing in order, so that when they go to get their mortgage, they're more likely to get it. And if you're thinking of selling, one of the best parts about this market, not only that you might, do really well on their price and all of those things, is that if you don't like to have the disruption of having your house show, now is a great time to list your house. I listed a house last week. I intentionally had it go up Thursday evening because I didn't want any showings before Friday at noon, because that's when the seller was going to be ready. And then the seller went and visited family for the weekend. So the listing went up Thursday. I had my first call from an agent that night, scheduled the showing for noon. They were already out of the house. The house was, in really good shape, tidy. All the kids' toys and stuff were away. And this client had little kids, so it was going to be, really challenging for them to keep the house in tip-top showing condition. So we were able to do that. And we attracted an offer actually that Friday, and it went conditional before the weekend. So they didn't even actually have to go away. But if you are thinking of selling and you are kind of on the fence because of that, know that now would probably be a really good time to list. Obviously, there's some exceptions on, some handful of properties that are a little bit harder to sell than others, but generally, we're certainly in that seller's market right now. So yeah, that was some of the things that we talked about this week. Ultimately, the Saskatchewan market is in an upward swing when it comes to prices, and a downward swing when it comes to inventory and supply and days on market. So definitely, in my opinion, a seller's market. So if you're in the market for that, it would be a good time. I will actually say there's kind of one exception. All of what I've talked about in today's podcast has really been in that price range of about $450 and below, which would be kind of the new to home ownership market, or your first single family home. If you are in that 600 and above, inventory is a little bit more stable. So I guess if you're selling a 450 house and you're wanting a 650 house, some of the stuff I said earlier probably won't apply. You'll have a little bit more comfort in finding something. Anyway, I'm glad you guys were here to listen. Until next time, have a great week.